I would take a couple of aspirins. I went to my room, sat down, and I took 4 aspirins. And savagely took 2 more. Soon I felt pleasant. The street and house were quiet. I floated between consciousness and sleep. Nice memories came to me. I was showing the whole series of drawings which I made when I was a young man, before I was condemned to publicity drawing. Many people stood around me, full of admiration. I talked about my art. All at once I was able to tell in clear, plain words how I enjoyed it, how the drawing lived inside me, and how I felt myself blessed. I struck a distinguished attitude, explained how all the lines were in my hand, and such gratefulness in my wrist at once. I had kissed it. Later on, I was at home, and everybody was there, even those who had passed away. My children played quietly with a footstool. Mother smiled, saying that once more we were all together. I was happy and quiet. But Father, who sits there, I thought, he's dead. I'm sitting in my room to take a little rest. But all this seemed unimportant to me, and I asked Father to tell the story of his youth, which I'd always heard with great pleasure. He told it. The 7 of us sat with our feet on the stove. Later on, I was at the house of my youngest child, the 3-year-old Elsie. She was a splendid woman, had 2 beautiful children. She was tall, wore a white knitted woolen dress. She turned to me and said, "I am happy." Tears welled up in my eyes. I wanted to say that this was everything I had expected, all I had always lived for. But happiness paralyzed me. I couldn't utter a word, and I felt a pain right through my heart. I was awake, but could not speak nor move. My eyes darkened, and twice more, at short intervals, I felt that pain in the heart. I knew this was the end. In our family, we all die that way. We get a little feverish, we feel tired, we smile, and our heart gives in. We smile, we die in a friendly way, alert to display. My aunt asked her for a drink. She tried to sit upright, said thank you before she drank, leaned back, smiled, and died. My uncle sat with a little fever behind the stove. A neighbor brought him midwinter a handful of splendid apples. One of them rolled from the table. My uncle picked it up, put his hand to his heart, whispered something, smiled, and died. Downstairs, I heard Mary and the children. A horrible fear seized me. I wanted to stand up, but I couldn't. Knock on the floor, I said, but I couldn't do it. I remained lying down. I saw the anxious eyes of Mary when she got the bills for my funeral. She could not pay them and didn't dare tell anybody. All this can only have lasted one moment. Probably not longer than the crisis itself. Later on, I was waiting calmly till the last cramp would come and kill me. Death cannot come closer than this. It was now in me. The point of its stiletto was on my heart. Now, I I began to become conscious of my condition. Downstairs were Mary and the children. I appeared dying. Later on she would have the oldest call me to supper. The boy would not succeed in wakening me, would go downstairs to say I was sound asleep. And Mary would answer, then let father rest. After an hour she would put little Elsie to bed, turn on the light, and find me dead. Could I do such a thing to her? Should I not knock on the floor so that she would tear the stairs? Then what? What could I tell her, even if I should be able to speak? Mary, I let you down, and I don't see any solution for you. In fact, I had only one urge to say, Mary, I thank you, and close my eyes forever. I thank you, Mary, for table, bed, and the children. It all tasted fine, and now I'm leaving you. Without insurance, without pension, without fortune, but that's your problem. Goodbye. I was confused by this travesty of a deep and solemn gratitude, but I didn't have the strength of mind to refute it. And I confessed, weak and sick, that I wanted to call Mary only in order not to die alone like a dog. It would lengthen the sufferings. I gave up the idea. But thinking of what she was going to suffer from this night on didn't trouble me anymore. For the first time, I saw myself as I really am. Maybe myself alone, but maybe everybody. What? Could you die without saying adieu? Don't you feel the need to see your children once more? My indignation confused me, and I didn't dare come out with the truth at once. But soon, a cruel sincerity prevailed. Hypocrisy fled as death came closer. I realized that I had always been solitary, in solitude so absolute that no words or images could pierce it. I